Well, that really makes dating difficult, especially after 50.
It's horrible. I mean, I call it the interview process.
Oh, that's a little sterile, don't you think?
But it is sterile. Isn't it sterile? You get on these apps, you start talking to one another, you start, how are you? What's your story?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. It's like you're interviewing for a job.
Yeah.
It really is. And I call it the interview process.
Welcome to Becoming Virtuosa, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Susan Crockett. You are listening to episode number 46, Dating Over 50. This is an interview with an expert on this topic, military veteran, divorcee, and first surgical assist, Anthony Terry.
Welcome to Becoming Virtuosa, the podcast that encourages you to become your best virtuosa self. Each week, Dr. Susan Crockett goes where the scalpel can't reach, exploring conversations about how to be, heal, love, give, grow, pray, and attune. For the first time ever, she's bringing the personal one-on-one teaching that she shares with individual patients to you on this broader platform. A weekly source of inspiration and encouragement designed to empower you. By evolving ourselves as individuals, we influence and transform the world around us. Please help me welcome board-certified OB/GYN specializing in minimally invasive GYN surgery, internationally in the top 1% of all GYN robotic surgeons, a certified life coach, and U.S. News top doctor, your host, Susan A. Crockett, MD.
I am here with my amazing guest, Anthony Terry, today.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. I'm excited to have you here because, we don't always get the male perspective.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
That's definitely
I've got the equipment.
I'm sure you do. Is this how this is going to go?
Yes, ma'am.
The whole way?
Absolutely. You know it is. This is me and you talking. You know this is the way it's going to be.
This is hilarious. Why don't you tell us and our listeners a little bit about your background? Because I know you as my other first surgical assist.
Yes, ma'am.
You work in the hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
That I work at. But you've got your little friend. You've got a pretty extensive military background too.
Yes, ma'am. I was in the military for about 12 years. I was a medic, and then I went to the surgical tech school and got out. Went to work at hospitals in San Angelo. That's where I'm originally from. I was married back then. Not anymore. Hence the dating
after 50.
So we moved here. I worked for the hospital for about another 5 years. Went to first assistant school. Worked independently for 12 years?
Wow.
With one doctor. You know him.
Yep.
And just recently went back to work for the hospital again.
Interesting. So
here we are.
Which branch of the military were you in? You were in Army. That's cool. Yeah, I used to be an Army wife a long, long time ago.
Kudos to you. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. Don't you love it when people say that to you?
I never know what to say.
Yeah.
Because, we didn't do it for recognition.
No.
So I never know what to say. I just, everybody says, just say thank you. So, it's thank you. It's kind of uncomfortable.
It is a little uncomfortable.
I don't know if people realize that or not.
Yeah.
It's a little uncomfortable.
I think it's just their way of kind of saluting you without us non-military people, civilians just looking awkward. Yeah. It's a respect thing.
It is what it is.
Yeah. All right. So dating after 50, the idea for this actually came up when we were in the operating room working together one day, joking and laughing around. And I was telling everybody about what we're building and doing all the set and all this conversation. And you piped up. You're like, I should do a segment.
I need to be in there. I need to throw man perspective in for you.
Yeah, a male perspective. And so here you are.
All right. Oh, there's one way to encapsulate it, and I'm not going to use the word because I know we need to be PG, but it's welcome to the show. You all should know that right now because it is a show.
So, the fun thing that we do about this when we do this show is we always start off with a meal and we sit and eat healthy food. We cook healthy food together, enjoy good conversation and laughs. And we were having quite the conversation over meal preparation today. What did we do? Italian today?
We did Italian. I got a little taste of the vegan world.
Yeah.
Because I'm a red-blooded American Texan.
Like steak and potatoes.
Yeah, steak and potatoes. So I got introduced to it. It was actually very good.
Well, thank you.
And the meatballs that you made, I really couldn't tell the difference between the real ones and the vegan ones.
That's quite a testimonial coming from you.
It was really good.
Yeah, thanks.
It was really good. And I was laughing. I know I told you earlier, but we got to say this. I was sitting back watching you make our meal and everything, and I was thinking, every day, Monday through Friday, or, when you're operating, I'm running around with my chicken with my head cut off, making sure everything's right for Dr. Crockett, making sure this is right, making sure she doesn't have any problems, blah, blah, blah. And today I was just sitting on my butt and you were busting your rear, cooking all this food. And I thought, it's full circle. This is hilarious how full circle this is.
I so enjoyed that. I so appreciate you doing that, by the way, because we don't always recognize the people behind the scenes that are doing all of that stuff that makes surgery so easy for our patients. In fact, the patients don't even get to see you guys. So I think it's really an interesting thing to bring up on the show is just
they never know
the amount of work that goes on, behind the scenes. But yeah, it was kind of funny me sitting there doing all the.
Oh yeah, you were going a mile a minute, and I was thinking, this is so hilarious that she's waiting on me now. I loved it. I loved every part of it.
Oh, thank you. It was fun. One of the conversations we had, though, when we were sitting down there was this conversation about being self-sufficient versus independent woman. And so we started talking about the things on dating apps that we hate seeing or, what makes them.
I will tell you ladies that are watching right now, independent and what was it? Independent, self-sufficient, and I don't need a man.
Yeah, well.
That's an instant red flag for a Generation X military guy.
Yeah.
Because we want to be needed, That's our whole persona as men, is we want to be needed.
And here we are thinking, oh, we're independent women, like we're strong, or we're not coming after you for your money. And I always like
it's completely the opposite. It's a red flag. It's well, I don't even want to mess with you now.
Well,
if you don't need me, then what? If you don't need a man, what the hell are you doing on the dating site?
Well, maybe I want one.
Right. And I understand your take on what you've said is one thing, but the male perspective of what you said is completely different, and that's why
that is fascinating.
What is that crazy book?
The Mars Venus one.
Y'all love to reference all the time, Mars and Venus. Yeah. We are definitely from Mars and Venus on everything.
Well, that really makes dating difficult, especially after 50.
It's horrible. I mean, I call it, and if anybody uses this, I'm going to hashtag it, do it, whatever. I call it the interview process.
Oh, that's a little sterile, don't you think?
But it is sterile. Isn't it sterile? You get on these apps, you start talking to one another, you start, how are you? What's your story?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. It's like you're interviewing for a job.
Yeah.
It really is. And I call it the interview process. And it's not, and texting, I know we all text nowadays, but texting relays no emotion whatsoever.
I know, it's pretty difficult.
Right. But then you got people that don't want to even talk on the phone. So if you don't want to talk on the phone,
then what are you even doing out there?
What the heck are we here for?
Right?
Yeah. So I call it the interview process. And it just seems like you go interview after interview after interview, and they're not even, none of them are even fruitful.
Yeah.
Do you even go on a date?
Well, see, this is why I've pretty much ditched the apps. I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to meet somebody in real life and figure it out.
So I know I love that you said that. I'm going to meet somebody organically, right? I love that phrase.
I didn't even use that word, but yeah.
But I know. But the fact of it nowadays is, what do you do if somebody approaches you in HEB?
I'm pretty friendly.
But a lot of people won't. And I know you, and we know each other.
Well, and my HEB is in my neck of the woods in my neighborhood. Right. And
it seems like it's the only way nowadays to meet anybody, because everybody thinks, oh my God, why are you talking to me? Because we're all scared nowadays.
Because of all of the violence and
Right. And all the bad things that happen. So then you're stuck on those stupid things.
You know what else is different is when we get to know people in person, we kind of vet them and know their background, and that completely is missing in the app. So you get on an app and you get like such a still of somebody that's just like a snapshot that's very highly cultivated, and there's a lot of people that you wouldn't be interested in if you were walking down the hall in the hospital.
No, absolutely. Well, and then that's where I love the filters.
Yeah.
You've got the filters and the angles and the this and the that, and it's such a fake thing, I guess. And that's what you're talking about. Somebody, you meet them organically, and that, you have something up front. These people on the apps, you have no idea what the heck you're getting.
Yeah.
It's, it's a mystery box. One of those mystery boxes you buy. What are you going to get inside? You have no idea.
So I actually think that the dating apps have hit their peak. I think they're starting to get old.
And it's made people cold nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you forget that the person that you're swiping on is a real person and not just an avatar.
Well, and like you said, going back to this, I always find this funny, is if I do go on a date, you have to meet somebody somewhere.
Right.
Right. Now, when you and I were growing up, right? And I understand, believe me, I get it. I get the whole safety thing and I understand everything. But when you and I were a long time ago were dating.
Five years ago when we were growing up.
Yeah. 5 years. For you, 5 years. For me, it was like 25. But if you didn't pick a lady up.
Yeah.
For a date, you didn't go to the door and ring the doorbell.
Those bad manners.
No, that was bad manners. But now, you have to date for 6 months before you ever know where anybody lives.
Yeah, well.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now.
But true. It's just changed so much.
It's a whole different world. So at 50, I am like at a loss for everything.
That's interesting. Just having to try to kind of rewrite the rules and understand.
Right. Understand anything that's going on.
And be so much more sensitive to upsetting somebody or crossing a boundary that you didn't know was there.
Right. You tell a joke in a text.
Yeah.
Because you know me. I mean, obviously everybody's got a hint of who I am already, but you know me. I might say something in a text that's one thing and it's completely read as something totally different and offensive. And I didn't mean it like that.
Right. What is it that I said to you the other day? We're always doing witty banter. I walked up to you and I was like, I'm having such a rough day. Give me some witty banter.
Right. And then I walked back in the room and I said, I have FD today. Funny dysfunction. I can't perform for you today. I don't know. I'm just not having it today.
I didn't even mean to put you on the spot like that, but it was so funny. It was a funny story.
No.
All right. So talk to me a little bit about mentorship versus the mansplaining kind of thing.
So I think a lot of women, they'll ask you for your opinion or they'll want you to help them with something. And then you give them what it is and they think you're mansplaining or you're being too misogynistic.
So you can't win.
You can't win either way. And there's a lot of things in dating or in relationships or like we said about the independent. I need a woman. I'm not going to lie to you. I need a lady. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of that you need someone, but a lot of people don't want to be needed anymore.
I think that's a really good point. I kind of blew it off when you said that downstairs when we were all sitting around the table eating, because nobody says that anymore. Everybody is so focused on being their whole selves and not having to find their soulmate or their other half or you complete me, the you complete me thing kind of is like.
Yeah, that's awesome though. Don't you think? You complete me. Don't you think that's awesome?
It is in a way, isn't it?
I really think that, and everybody's so focused on independence and this and don't need somebody. I mean, I think we all need somebody.
You know what? I think that's a basic, human.
We're human.
We're human. We're meant to interact with others.
Right. And you're meant to interact with that one person.
Yeah.
I think, don't you?
Well, yeah, I've done all of this work on myself. For a long time, I felt like I had to have a husband, like I was missing something if I didn't have a man.
Right.
And I went through, I had a long first marriage, divorced, and then a very, very quickly married a second person, had my second marriage. Now divorced, hence the dating after 50 thing. But I was basically married for 30 years. And those in-between times, right after the separations, I always felt like there was this whole, like I was incomplete or really needed a man. But one of the things that's happened in being single for 3 years now is, and just all of the growth that I've had during it, is I've lost that feeling. And I feel like, I can be happy single. I can be happy as myself and whole and don't feel like I'm missing somebody. I think I'd love to have a relationship again, but I don't have that desperation of I've got to find somebody, which I think is giving me a little different perspective. Now it's like I can afford to be pickier because I don't have that angst about having to have somebody.
Do you think you have an angst about our age? And I'm not going to share your age with nobody because that's not what a gentleman does. But I mean,
I don't.
I kind of feel this weight of how old we are now.
Yeah.
And the playing field is like this now.
The playing field is really interesting.
It's about this big.
And
right?
As we get older,
and we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And we're going to find this person, or we're going to be on the porch alone at 70 by ourselves. And I feel this weight of, you got to interview, you got to go on a date, you got to everything's got to be expedient.
I did feel that. I've felt that before. I don't anymore. I feel like I could be, I think I just know so many older women that are in their 70s and 80s, and probably my aunt who's 85 now is a good example. They have female friendships and they're not looking for marriages, and they're not sitting on the porch by themselves either. They've got their friends in relationship. And I think I always thought that I wanted that marriage. I never thought I'd be divorced. That was not where I came from. It was like you get married once and forever.
Right, forever, yeah.
And so I definitely saw with both of my marriages that picture of growing old together. But now that I'm in this quite unexpected place, I would love to have the right person there. But if I'm the right person for me to be there as myself with my friends, I'm okay with that too. And what it's done is let me let go of that anxiety. It's kind of that dating yourself thing. That
oh, Lord, here was the dating myself. Well, okay, now, is this a difference between a man and a woman?
I think it might be.
Because for a man, we need to be needed.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to be a provider.
Appreciated.
There's a caveman
thing
hit you over the head, bring you into the cave kind of thing, provide for you, bring home the dinosaur leg,
Yeah.
And I think maybe not so much younger generation, but I know older men, we need to be needed and need to provide. And
yeah, it's a basic instinct.
It's a basic instinct for us. So when that's not there.
What would the female equivalent be?
Children.
Which I have.
Right, but taking care of your children kind of thing. And as they get older, you miss that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think a woman grows her children and then that's done. And then y'all can transition to just, I just want to be with my friend and go to bingo kind of thing. Where a man, all his life, he feels he needs to provide and protect and,
and take care.
So maybe that's why men don't, say, oh, I'm good. I'm just going to hang out with my buddies and go to bingo.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
They don't, do they?
No, they don't.
Isn't this an interesting place where this interview wound up? This is not what I expected when we started out this interview.
This is not what you told me to say. It's hard to do.
Anthony,
just kidding.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This was really awesome.
Thank you, Mel.
You rock.
Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Becoming Virtuosa. To learn more, come visit us at drcrockett.com. That's drcrockett with 2 T's.com. Or find us on YouTube for The Dr. Crockett Show. If you found this episode helpful or think it might help someone else, please like, subscribe, and share. This is how we grow together. Thanks, and I'll see you next week. Love always, Sue.